The following video was recorded on a police officer's body camera during a daytime encounter on a residential street in Key West, and what makes it so unsettling isn't what you see, but what you hear. A man wearing a gray shirt and sunglasses has flagged down the officer to document a series of voicemails left by his ex-wife the night before. He's holding his phone and a folded piece of paper, visibly shaken, telling the officer the recordings are, in his own words, farting scary. The situation leading up to this moment had been escalating for weeks. A victim impact statement arriving in the mail, a flurry of harassing calls, false neglect charges filed against him and his new partner, all of it dismissed by the same officer, standing in front of him now. She'd already issued a formal notice to appear against the ex-wife. She recommends a no-contact order, and then he presses play. Watch.
All right, do me a favor and play them. Just because I have what you sent me, and I'll submit those already, camera. But just to put them on camera, yeah.
You heard wanted myself and help.
Yeah.
Right?
So 144 was when she started leaving voicemails.
This will, I believe, have been, yes, that's the first voicemail. These previous two did not.
Okay. Okay, play the other one.
Okay, we're up to second one here. That was 145. This is 146. $47.
You very bad, and you want everybody to sell for your love. You are alive. You know that. You're alive. You're alive. You're alive.
You were with her for many years. You're positive that is her voice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 47. 149.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
I hope she gets some help from this. I hope that this leads to a good...
What comes out of that phone doesn't sound like a person in the way you'd expect. The voice shifts between sobbing, high-pitched wailing, guttural growling, and something that barely registers as human speech at all, pleading for help one moment, threatening to hunt him for his entire life the next, and at one point declaring the devil is coming, with an urgency that's hard to just write off as distress.
Resolution, because it's my kids. You know, this is their mom. It's f***ing scary. It's 150. Two. This is 154.
The officer asks him directly, after all those years together, is he certain that's her voice? He says yes, and that might be the most disturbing part of all of this. Some listeners have pointed out that the extreme vocal distortion could suggest a voice changer app, a deliberate attempt to terrorize and manipulate. Others aren't so sure, arguing that the raw, layered nature of the sounds doesn't match any commonly available audio tool. Key West, a place whose Spanish name literally translates to Island of Bones, has a long history of people describing things that resist easy explanation. And for some who've heard these recordings, the line between a mental health crisis, a hoax, and something genuinely outside the ordinary feels uncomfortably thin. What do you think was actually making those sounds? The following video was recorded by a mother on a baby monitor. Nighttime footage, infrared, the kind of clip that looks ordinary at first glance, until you listen carefully to what the baby is saying. Her 15-month-old daughter was alone in her crib, rolling around and playing in the early morning hours, completely at ease, giggling softly to herself the way toddlers do when no one else is in the room. What makes this footage deeply significant is something the mother shared alongside it. Her 3-year-old daughter passed away in 2017, several years before this baby was even born. The 15-month-old has never been formally introduced to her late sister, never shown pictures, never heard her name spoken directly to her. Watch. At around 50 seconds into the footage, the baby makes a soft 2-syllable sound that could be interpreted as babbling, but at the 2-minute mark, she makes it again, and this time, it's unmistakably clear, a name, spoken with the kind of easy familiarity you'd use for someone you already know. The name is Jada. Many people who encounter footage like this interpret it as a visitation. The belief, held across a number of spiritual traditions, that the boundary between the living and the dead is thinnest for very young children who haven't yet been conditioned to dismiss what they sense. Some call them angel babies, a loose informal term used to describe infants thought to carry an awareness of spiritual presences that older people have long since lost. Skeptics would argue the sounds are nothing more than coincidental babbling, a common pattern in toddler speech where two-syllable sounds naturally emerge, but the emotional weight of that second vocalization, quieter, more deliberate, almost conversational, is hard to simply set aside. In clip 2, the mother responds to a comment asking whether she'd ever spoken to her younger daughter about Jada. Watch.
Hello. Okay, so this is a question that I have gotten several times. So obviously we talk about her often, just like my family, my son. So he was 5. He was 5 whenever she passed away. So he remembers her, he knows about her, we talk about her a lot. And so does my family, but I've never talked to her directly about her. She's only 15 months, so obviously I do plan to tell her about her, eventually show her pictures, videos, and all that. With her being only 15 months old, it's not something that I've even thought about doing it. So she's probably heard us mention her name, but I don't even know that she would know what we were talking about or who she is or anything like that. So that is what makes it kind of even crazier is no, I've never talked to her about her or anything like that. And actually, after I posted this the next day, I did show her a picture of Jada and she smiled so big. I was like, Jada! So it's just so crazy. I honestly think I'm still just in shock. It obviously makes me very emotional, but yeah, it's just crazy, and I just have to believe that is what it is.
She says no, not once, not deliberately. Her younger daughter had likely heard the name spoken around the house, but at 15 months, there was no reason to believe she'd attach meaning to it. What broke the mother was what happened the day after she posted the monitor footage. She showed her daughter a photograph of Jada for the very first time, and the baby smiled wide and said the name clearly. That detail is what shifts this from ambiguous audio to something harder to dismiss, because recognition implies familiarity, and familiarity implies a connection that no one in the house had consciously created. Some believe moments like this are evidence of a bond that doesn't end at death, that spirits of children remain close to their families, particularly to younger siblings who arrive after them. Others think the mind, even at 15 months, picks up far more than we give it credit for. But the mother herself said it plainly. She has to believe that's who it is. So what do you think? A coincidence or something more? Whether you find it comforting or unsettling probably says something about what you already believe. But either way, the footage leaves that question sitting with you. This next clip was recorded by what appears to be a baby monitor, capturing a young girl's bedroom just after midnight on May 20th, 2026. It's the kind of camera parents install for peace of mind, only to sometimes capture something they never expected to hear. The little girl is lying near the headboard, her eyes reflecting the infrared light as she moves slightly in her sleep. Everything seems normal until something unusual happens. Watch. There's one detail that makes the footage especially emotional. The mother says they live in her grandmother's house, and her grandmother passed away just over a year ago. Some paranormal believers would interpret the footage exactly that way, not as something threatening the child, but as a deceased family member trying to make her presence known. The idea of a spirit interacting with a bed or disturbing a sleeping child is common in paranormal stories, particularly when the activity appears focused on one person. And if the movement really is coming from something unseen, there's something strangely deliberate about it. So what do you think? Was someone unseen actually sitting beside that bed, trying to get her attention? Now in this next clip, a Ring security camera inside what looks like a quiet home catches something that at first seems like nothing, until you stay with it a little longer. It's nighttime, and a woman in a robe moves around a lit kitchen while a dog sleeps on the large couch in the foreground. A man walks in briefly, they exchange a few words, and then he's gone. Everything feels completely ordinary, but after a few seconds, something shifts. Watch.
I remember his name.
One of the first things viewers noticed was the large oculus mirror in the room. Some paranormal beliefs associate mirrors, particularly large mirrors positioned inside living spaces, with spiritual activity, with the idea that they can somehow act as a doorway or point of entry for unwanted presences. Then there's the moment involving the dog. A strange orb-like light appears to move toward the area where the dog is lying, and almost immediately, the dog reacts, appearing to startle or shift as though something has disturbed it, and that's where the footage gets interesting. A moment later, a faint sound comes through the recording, a soft, high-pitched noise that almost resembles a woman humming a single sustained note. There's no visible person making the sound, and the timing is close enough to the dog's reaction that some viewers believe the two events are connected. But I'll leave you to be the judge of this one. Now in this next clip, someone is filming their bedroom late at night. A dark room lit only by a dim, reddish-brown ambient glow, quiet enough that nothing seems out of place at first. The camera pans slowly toward the corner of the room, where a desk lamp sits completely switched off on a wooden dresser. Then it pans right toward the mirrored door beside it. Watch. The lamp in the reflection is on, glowing a bright, steady orange, while the actual lamp behind the camera remains dark. No switch was flipped. No one else is in the room. The camera confirms it twice, panning back and forth between the real lamp and its reflection, and both times the result is the same. Some think this is a glitch in physical reality, a moment where a parallel version of the room bleeds through. Others believe mirrors act as windows rather than surfaces, and that whatever is on the other side doesn't always match what you're looking at. This next clip was recorded at dusk on a rural property, somewhere deep in a wooded area with a gravel driveway, a black portable garage, and a few ATVs parked near the tree line. The woman filming had barely gotten her phone up when something from the direction of the woods stopped her cold. Watch.
Oh my God, nobody is gonna ever believe this. All right, we're going back inside.
At first, it's difficult to make out exactly what she's looking at, but there appears to be a strange, unnaturally thin figure partially concealed beside the shed, watching from the edge of the property. It doesn't seem to approach her, it simply remains there, just far enough into the darkness to make its shape difficult to identify. Some viewers immediately called it a skinwalker, while others weren't interested in trying to identify it at all. Their reaction was much simpler: leave the property. But this wasn't the only time she claimed to see the figure. On another night, the property's motion light suddenly activated. She went outside to find out what had triggered it, expecting to see an animal or perhaps someone passing near the shed. Instead, she captured this. Watch. The same unnaturally tall, slender-looking figure appears to be standing near the structure again, partially hidden in the darkness, and that's what makes the second sighting more unsettling than the first. If it were just one strange shape caught briefly on camera, you could argue that it was a person, an animal, a shadow, or simply something in the environment being distorted by the camera. But seeing what appears to be the same silhouette, returning to the same area on another night, is exactly what made viewers start connecting the two clips. Some called it a skinwalker, others compared its unusually elongated appearance to Slender Man, the fictional internet horror figure known for his unnaturally tall, thin appearance. Of course, neither label proves what was actually standing there, but if the woman genuinely encountered the same figure twice, there's one detail that would bother me most. It wasn't simply passing through the property, it appeared to be watching it. The following video was recorded by a man in Virginia who'd been noticing strange things happening inside his shed. Strange enough that he set up a Ring security camera in there to try to catch something on film. The shed itself is cluttered with tools, old boxes, and years of accumulated junk. The kind of space that's easy to ignore until it starts ignoring you back. The camera is mounted high in a corner, looking down over the whole room, and on the afternoon of April 19th of 2026, at around 4:26 p.m., nobody is inside. Nobody visible, anyway. A door at the back of the room is closed, the floor is still, and then it isn't. Watch.
Man, look at this.
What unfolds over the next few minutes is one of the densest collections of unexplained activity caught on a single static camera in recent memory. A door swinging open on its own, loud thuds and heavy dragging sounds filling the room with no visible source. A ball rolling out of the open doorway and stopping dead. A wooden shelf crashing to the floor, and then, most disturbingly, being lifted back up and out of frame against gravity. And then there's the music. Old-fashioned, tinny, with a female vocalist. Faint at first, then growing steadily louder, as though something is physically walking it closer to the camera's microphone. Right up until a sharp pop is heard, and something lets out a high-pitched cry of pain. When the man Yeed enters the shed to investigate, you can hear how shaken he is, breathing heavy, voice cracking, yelling into the dark attic above him, and getting nothing back. What he finds up there doesn't answer anything. Broken nameplates reading Mr. and Mrs. Ronald J. with the surname snapped clean off, a shattered Rolex-style watch, shot glasses etched with the logo of Sweetbriar College, a women's-only institution here in Virginia, all of it belonging to someone else, someone whose connection to this shed he can't explain. Many viewers think what's captured here is classic poltergeist behavior, not a haunting tied to a location so much as an intelligence that interacts with physical objects, creates sound, and seems capable of responding to the presence of a camera. Poltergeist activity in paranormal research is often described as kinetic, loud, and escalating, the kind of presence that doesn't hide but performs. Others think the objects found in the attic matter more than the activity itself, that whoever Ronald J. was, something tied to him, or to whoever he shared that nameplate with, hasn't fully left the space. The shelf being lifted back up is the detail that's hardest to walk away from. Things fall, that's physics, but whatever pulled that shelf back up wasn't working with gravity, it was working against it. So what exactly is living in that shed with him, and does it know he's looking? Now, in this next clip, a group of friends decide to explore the darker parts of the building they're staying in at 4:15 in the morning. What starts as a casual, laughing walkthrough of a dark office space slowly shifts into something far more unsettling. The man filming leads his two friends through room after room, trying locked doors, peering into a cluttered storage area, and eventually unlatching a back door that opens into complete darkness outside. The mood is still light. They're joking, whispering, shining a phone flashlight into corners until they saw something terrifying. Watch.
Oh, my pitu, my pitu, my pitu, my pitu, my pagi. My pagi, my pitu, mai kita tengok, mai kita tengok. Buka lampu, Pi, buka lampu, Pi. Nak guguk babi. Buka lampu, buka lampu. Macam ni, Pi. Macam ada orang tu. Allah, lampu pula tutup. Ya babi tu. Bodoh. Ni tinggal aku ke bodoh? Macam babi tinggal aku. Lampu tutup pula. Ruang ketang, ruang jiwa. Bodoh. Bimbang. Biar. Tak pasal pipi. Biar. Ya. Dok orang tu. Dok sini gelak dia. Allah Akbar. Bodoh. Ya Allah. Bodoh. Babi gua ya Allah. Allahu Akbar.
If you look closely, there's a figure, and according to the guys, it's a pokong. Near the edge of the darkness, a pale figure can briefly be seen motionless in the background. The group immediately reacts, and according to the men filming, what they saw was a pokong, a ghost from Indonesian and Malay folklore, believed to be the spirit of a dead person trapped inside their burial shroud. In traditional beliefs, the body of the deceased is wrapped tightly in white cloth before burial, with bindings around the head, neck, and feet. Legends claim that if the soul is unable to move on, the spirit may return in the same wrapped form. unable to walk normally, and often described as hopping or appearing stiff and motionless in dark places. Reports of Pocong sightings are especially common near abandoned buildings, graveyards, and isolated roads late at night. Some viewers believe the figure was simply a person standing outside in the darkness. Others are convinced the reaction from the group was too immediate and genuine to be staged. But for those familiar with the legend of the Pocong, the clip taps into a fear that has existed for generations. The following clip was recorded inside what appears to be a private collection room, floor-to-ceiling wooden shelves packed with hundreds of clown dolls, figurines, and ceramic pieces. A human-sized clown seated in a chair in the background, holding two smaller ones on its lap. The woman filming walks through the space calmly at first, taking it all in, until something just off-camera stops her cold. Watch.
Might do that. Are you a textural? Well, thank you. You see that? Yeah, I did not.
She freezes mid-step, her expression shifting from neutral to wide-eyed shock, and she raises her palm outward like she's bracing against something invisible. Collections like this, especially ones centered around objects with human-like features, such as dolls or figurines, have long been tied to unsettling theories in paranormal folklore. Across multiple cultures, objects that resemble the human form are believed to act as vessels, not necessarily because something is placed into them intentionally, but because their likeness creates what some traditions describe as a spiritual anchor, something that makes it easier for unseen entities to attach themselves or manifest through them. Clown figures in particular tend to amplify that discomfort, not because of anything inherently supernatural about clowns themselves, but because their exaggerated expressions create a disconnect between emotion and appearance. Smiles that don't feel natural, eyes that seem fixed yet aware, making it easier for the human mind to interpret subtle changes as something more. The following video was recorded during a live stream session out of Columbiana, Alabama, in September of 2019, when three men were in the middle of a casual conversation about haunted artifacts, specifically about a trip one of them had taken to the Afterlife Museum in West Virginia, a place known for housing objects with dark histories. On the table in front of them sat two vintage baby dolls, brought out as part of the discussion. Nothing about the setup seemed alarming. The man on the right, joining remotely via video call, was mid-sentence describing what he'd seen at the museum. Death masks, haunted dolls, the kind of objects people warn you not to bring home. Watch.
Death mask. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmate when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre. And I thought, yeah,
what happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it. Because I thought it was my eyes.
I did really. It was this one right here, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Screen.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I missed it.
I
was just trying to see the head kind of wobble like it was trying to turn.
Yeah,
okay.
I thought my eyes were playing with me.
Joe, you want to take that one home with you?
As long as it's temporary. They had death mask. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmate when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre. And I thought, yeah,
what happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it because I thought it was my eyes.
And we're going to build a museum on it.
That'll be cool.
It's going to be a haunted museum and a Bigfoot museum, artifacts, and, you know, for storytelling and that kind of stuff.
Right. I had recently went up to West Virginia to the, what was it called? The Afterlife Museum. The Archive of the Afterlife Museum. That place was really interesting. They had all kinds of dolls that were haunted, were supposedly haunted. They had death masks. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmates when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre, and I thought, yeah.
What happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it. Because I thought it was my eyes.
I do really. It was this one right here, wasn't it?
The head of the dolls were slowly moving. What makes this harder to dismiss is that the man on the call admits he noticed the movement 20 seconds earlier and chose to ignore it, telling himself it was his eyes playing tricks. Both men react simultaneously and independently, which is exactly the kind of detail skeptics struggle to explain away. Some believe objects that have passed through environments like the Afterlife Museum can carry residual energy, absorbing something from the people and places they've been around. Others think the doll may have been responding to the conversation itself. If you watch the replay closely, you'll notice the right doll also shifts slightly at the same moment. So what exactly set it off? The following video was recorded on a home security camera set up in a living area, looking down a dark hallway toward a closed white door. The house appears quiet, no one moving, no lights on, nothing out of the ordinary by any visible measure. And then, fairly early in the footage, something changes. Watch. Some viewers think the figure is a camera artifact, a long exposure glitch layered over the original feed. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that the object moving independently happens in the same footage, and that kind of pairing, a visual apparition followed by physical movement, is something that keeps showing up in home security cases like this one. Whether the movements in this clip were caused by vibration, an unseen draft, a camera illusion, or something else entirely remains unclear. But moments like this are exactly why ordinary security footage so often ends up at the center of paranormal debates online. Now, in this next clip, a man wakes up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps on his basement stairs. Not once, not twice, but over and over for nearly 10 minutes straight. What makes this especially unsettling is that he thought it was over. Earlier that week, he'd visited a cemetery, and after that, every bit of activity in his home had gone completely quiet. He believed whatever had been following him had returned to where it came from. He was wrong. So he grabs his flashlight and starts moving through the dark house, narrating as he goes, clearly shaken. Watch.
Alright, so I was woken up this morning to the sound of walking up and down my basement stairs again. It was over and over and over for probably 10 minutes straight. It was just walking up and down the basement stairs. Now, this is the first any type of activity I've had in the last week. Now, I opened the cemetery up on Monday, and since then I've had absolutely no activity here at home. So I thought that whatever followed me, or whatever it was, returned to the cemetery, and that was it. But like I said, I woke up to, the back door's locked, all the windows are locked.
While he's mid-sentence, a loud crash cuts him off. A green shaker bottle now on the kitchen floor, with no one near it. He picks it up, hands unsteady, breathing heavy, and just says, "I don't know," over and over. You can hear the defeat in his voice. Some believe this is classic poltergeist behavior, objects displaced by an unseen force as a direct response to the witness's presence. Others think whatever came back from that cemetery didn't come alone, but what do you think? The following clip was recorded by a man somewhere in Carrollsville, late at night and in the middle of a heavy rainstorm. He's parked in his Jeep outside a building near a gas station when something across the street stops him cold. According to him, whatever it was had already been there when he first noticed it. Pale and vaguely humanoid, standing in the rain near the pumps. He gets out of the car, which, honestly, most people would never do. And the moment he does, something shifts. The temperature of the whole situation changes. Watch.
Oh my God.
What the f do you want? Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone, please.
That figure in white, standing across the road in the dark and the rain, doesn't move the way anything should. And then the sound starts. A high-pitched, wavering wail that doesn't match any emergency siren, any car alarm, anything you'd expect to hear outside a gas station at night. He screams at it, pleads with it, and eventually scrambles back into the Jeep just to get away. What makes this harder to dismiss is the final glance in his side mirror before he speeds off. The figure is now under the carport he just left, and it appears to be contorting. Some viewers familiar with Carroll County's long history of documented hauntings have pointed out that the region around Carrollsville has carried paranormal folklore for generations. Others focused on those sounds, that unnatural, layered wail, and suggested it's consistent with what some researchers call an intelligent haunting, where a presence doesn't just appear, but actively communicates through sound and proximity. Skeptics think the figure is a person in a raincoat, and the sounds are distorted road noise bleeding through the recording. But that doesn't explain why it followed him. Where exactly did it go? The following video was recorded by a family stepping into their new house for the very first time. The father is holding the camera, slowly documenting their first walk through the home as the rest of the family heads inside ahead of him. Everything appeared perfectly ordinary until viewers noticed something that was out of place. Watch.
Okay, got everybody here. Heading on into the new house for the first time. They said go. Yeah. See how scary? It's kind of scary, actually. Oh, look at all this stuff. Dollhouse for you, Salo. Go. Okay. This kitchen's pretty nice.
Ready? I'm ready to go out, Mom.
Go close the door.
If you focus on the mirror by your right, you'll notice what looks like a dark, human-shaped shadow standing directly behind him. The unsettling part is that it can't be one of his daughters. By the time the reflection appears, both girls have already walked past the mirror and are standing farther inside the house. There shouldn't be anyone behind him. But what many viewers found even more disturbing wasn't the shadow. It was the youngest girl. Without anyone prompting her, she repeatedly says, "Scary," over and over again. Some dismissed it as exactly what children do in unfamiliar places. New houses can feel intimidating, especially when they're empty, dimly lit, and full of echoes. Others believe moments like this deserve a closer look. As for the mirror itself, mirrors have long occupied a unique place in supernatural folklore. Some traditions describe them as symbolic thresholds or reflective surfaces where unexplained figures are more likely to appear, while others view them simply as objects capable of creating convincing visual illusions under low lighting. Whether the shadow was a trick of perspective, a reflection the family didn't notice, or something that greeted them before they even unpacked. One detail remains difficult to ignore. Before anyone mentioned seeing a figure, the little girl had already decided there was something about that house she didn't like. The following video was recorded by a man living in what can only be described as a house full of unsettling objects. Mannequins in the hallway, antique dolls, vintage horror movie posters, and at the center of it all, a Victorian dollhouse sitting in his sister's room that he says he genuinely cannot bring himself to look at for too long. He walks through the space at night, narrating as he goes, and you can hear in his voice that this isn't performance, it's discomfort. He's been hearing tapping sounds late at night, specifically when he passes that room on the way to the bathroom, and according to him, the sound stops the moment he enters, except for one night about 3 nights prior, when it kept going. He walked in, tried to find the source, and traced it directly to the dollhouse itself. Watch.
Okay, so the other thing that really creeps me out, that I do not like, but I will show you guys, is in my sister's old room, or I guess still room. Dollhouse. I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can say that has happened with it is sometimes when I walk by, or like I go, the bathroom's back there, and I walk through and I hear like tapping coming from this room. It's like it's like yeah, it's like I know it's coming from like this room, and so I come in here and then it usually stops, except for like maybe 3 nights ago. Like the tapping kept happening, and I came over and I was trying to figure out like where it was coming from, but it was coming from this dollhouse and I don't know where. And it hasn't done it since. Like, why is it so intricate? It's like, I don't know. Freaks me out. I'm not showing you guys this again, so take one last look. Yeah. Fuck that thing.
Toward the end of the recording, some viewers also claimed they could hear what sounded like a faint young girl's voice buried beneath the audio. Whether it's genuine audio pareidolia or simply background noise is impossible to say, but combined with the tapping, it only added to the unease. Some viewers also pointed to the collection of dolls visible throughout the house. In parts of West Africa and the Caribbean, handcrafted dolls have historically been associated, rightly or wrongly, with folk magic and spiritual practices. While most are simply decorative or cultural artifacts, their appearance often fuels speculation whenever they're seen alongside alleged paranormal activity. But according to the family, the dollhouse wasn't the only thing making them uneasy. Watch.
Grandson, this is my daughter, Lady Mary Talk. Oh, everyone's going. You as the rest of us are in Riviera, but I hope you enjoy yourself. Yes. Okay. I've been thinking about it. I went over to America 10 years ago to try my luck, and I've been there ever since. Nearly London. They call us the Hollywood Rise. But you never stopped playing music. You know that. Last time I was there.
Heavy footsteps echo from somewhere inside the house, the kind of impact that sounds as though someone has just put their full weight onto a wooden floor. But there's no visible cause. Nothing falls, nothing moves, nothing in the wide-angle security footage gives her or anyone watching any kind of answer. So what exactly hit that hard? From inside a house, with no one else apparently there, you decide. Now in this next clip, a man who works at what appears to be an industrial facility decided to stay late one night. Not because he had to, but because something about the place kept pulling him back. He'd already noticed things before this recording. His radio had been jumping with static, which he says is usually a sign that something is close, and the temperature in the break room had dropped noticeably enough to stop him in his tracks. He's wearing work gloves, holding his camera, and his voice is raspy and low as he moves through a long fluorescent-lit hallway and into one of the facility's break rooms, a cluttered industrial space with metal lockers, stainless steel countertops, and trash bags piled against the walls. He admits out loud that he's nervous. He can feel something in there with him, and then he notices his Apple Watch.
Whoa. Shit. Just saw my Apple move. Just saw him move. Oh. What do you want? Who are you? Oh. What does this mean?
What do you want? Why are you playing games? Why did you attack me the other day? What do you want?
First the apple, then the cup begins moving by itself, while he continues trying to communicate with whatever he believes is around him. To paranormal investigators, this sequence is particularly intriguing because the movement appears to follow direct interaction. In many alleged haunting cases, investigators believe that attempting communication can sometimes trigger a response, especially if the reported activity is associated with an intelligent haunting rather than a residual one. Objects moving shortly after questions are asked are often interpreted as attempts at non-verbal communication, with some researchers suggesting that small, lightweight items are easier for an alleged entity to manipulate than larger objects. Another detail, often mentioned in paranormal circles, is the combination of experiences leading up to the movements. Sudden cold spots, unexplained radio interference, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched are among the most commonly reported claims preceding alleged physical manifestations, although none have been scientifically shown to indicate paranormal activity. But viewers who believe something unusual happened focus on one thing. The apple moves, he starts talking, then the cup moves too. Whether that was a coincidence or something responding to the conversation is exactly what keeps this clip open to debate. This next video comes from a man who says something got into his shed while he was away, and whatever it was, it didn't just leave quietly. He's been filming himself outside at night, shaky camera pointed upward into dark tree branches, voice already strained before he's even made it through the door. According to him, he'd noticed something off when he first pulled up, and by the time he walked inside, what he found had him spiraling. Watch. The CCTV footage shows the shed door closed. Then, across a 5-second gap in the recording, it's sitting open by several inches with nothing on camera to explain it. No figure, no gust, no visible contact. And when he finally walks in and turns the light on, the shed is ransacked. Tools, clothing, and a power sander thrown into disorder. But what frightened him most wasn't the mess. It was what happened when he went back inside for a closer look. Watch. If you look closely, you'll notice what appears to be a pale face peering from inside the shed. Some viewers dismissed it as pareidolia, the brain's tendency to see faces in random shapes, especially in dark, cluttered environments. Others weren't convinced. Across paranormal folklore, one of the most commonly reported experiences is the peeking apparition, an alleged entity that reveals only part of its face from behind a doorway, corner, or object before disappearing again. Paranormal researchers often describe these brief appearances as observational behavior, claiming the figure seems more interested in watching than interacting directly. Whether that's what this camera captured, or whether the face is nothing more than shadow and coincidence. One unsettling question remains: if something really was hiding inside that shed, what was it waiting for him to do next? This next video was recorded by a man filming from what appears to be his backyard at night, a dark, scrub-covered hillside stretching out in front of him. And from the very beginning, something on that hillside has already caught his attention. He's been insisting that whatever this is, it's been following him, not just to one location, but everywhere he goes. And standing there in the dark, camera in hand, You can hear in his voice that he's well past the point of brushing it off. Watch.
I can't make this shit up. I can't make this shit up, bro. What the? I can't make this shit up, bro. I can't make this shit up, bro. What the is that? Jesus. Jesus Christ, no. Jesus Christ, no. What? I can't make this shit up, bro.
Out on that hillside, a bright glowing orb sits completely still at first, white-yellow on the outside, but with a distinct purple or violet core pulsing inside it. As he zooms in, that inner light shifts shape, momentarily forming something almost structured, almost like a letter or symbol, before the whole thing begins sliding horizontally to the left, leaving a faint trail behind it. And then, just like that, it vanishes. The hillside goes dark. His reaction says everything, stunned silence, then a rising panic he can barely keep together. Some viewers immediately thought of ball lightning, a rare atmospheric phenomenon that can produce glowing, drifting orbs. But ball lightning doesn't typically hold a distinct internal color or leave shaped impressions. Others pointed to UAP sightings, noting that the pulsing purple core and horizontal drift are consistent with characteristics reported in several well-documented cases. What do you think was on that hillside? This next video was recorded at around 11:30 at night by a woman who had just gotten home and noticed something immediately off. Her bathroom light was on inside the house, even though she was almost certain she'd left it off. She went in, switched it off herself, watched some TV, and thought nothing more of it. Then she stepped outside to check the mail. That's when she stopped. Something made her turn back toward the house and pull out her phone. Watch.
Need to show you what's actually happening right now. Like, this is so creepy. I have no idea. Oh, it stopped. It's been... Like, nobody is in my house, and that should not be happening. And no one believes me when I tell them this kind of stuff.
The bathroom window, visible from the driveway, flickers on, then off, then on again, then dark, with no one inside operating the switch. She's standing right there in the driveway, in the pitch black, telling you directly, nobody is home, and that light should not be doing that. But many viewers noticed something even stranger than the light itself. If you look closely at the window, there appears to be the faint outline of what looks like a young girl standing motionless, facing directly toward the woman filming. The shape doesn't seem to move, it simply watches. Reports of flickering lights are among the most commonly described experiences in alleged hauntings, though faulty wiring, loose switches, and electrical fluctuations remain far more common explanations. The apparent figure in the window has sparked even more debate. Some believe it's nothing more than reflections on the glass or pareidolia, the brain interpreting shadows and patterns as a human face. Others compare it to reports of window watchers, a recurring motif in paranormal accounts where an unexplained figure is said to silently observe people from inside a home without ever approaching. Whether rooted in folklore or coincidence, these reports often describe the figure as remaining perfectly still, creating the unsettling impression that it's watching rather than trying to be seen. So was the flickering light simply an electrical fault? Did the changing light create the illusion of a face? Or was someone or something standing behind that window after all? That's the question this footage leaves unanswered. The following video was recorded by a man who had recently moved into an old house built back in 1912, a property with enough history behind it to already make him uneasy before anything strange even started happening. According to him, the previous tenant had suddenly left without much explanation, and after settling in, he began experiencing odd disturbances throughout the house that pushed him into researching the property's past. During a late-night spirit box session, one word reportedly kept coming through over and over again: fire. After digging deeper, he discovered that the basement of the house had been the site of an accidental fire sometime around 1965, a detail that suddenly made the atmosphere in the home feel a lot heavier. Then one night, while standing in a lit room looking down a dark hallway, he caught this on camera. Watch.
Look, it's my hand.
At the far end of the hallway, a guitar begins to sway on its own, slowly at first, before the movement starts growing stronger. Skeptics pointed toward possible drafts or airflow as the most logical explanation, but what unsettled viewers was how the motion seemed to build, almost like something unseen kept interacting with it. Paranormal theories surrounding old homes often connect fires to lingering energy, especially when the event was sudden or traumatic. Some believe places marked by tragedy can hold on to fragments of that moment for decades, replaying themselves through unexplained sounds, movement, or disturbances tied to certain parts of the house. And considering the repeated mention of fire during the spirit box session, many viewers think whatever is in that hallway may be connected to what happened in the basement all those years ago. Whatever started the movement, he never found the source. In this next clip, someone is walking through a property called the Green Manor, an old house with narrow winding staircases, dark reddish walls, a library with built-in shelves, and an upstairs room lined with antique dolls. And from the moment they point the camera at a teal wooden door in the hallway, something feels off. The door is slightly ajar, and the vintage oval doorknob on its brass backplate just sits there, still and quiet, the way doorknobs are supposed to. But then it starts to move. Watch. The knob jiggles, turns clockwise, and a sharp metallic click rings out as the latch fully disengages and the door swings open on its own. Nobody's on the other side. The person filming then pushes through, climbs the creaking staircase, and when they reach the top, they pan into a side room where a full church pew is lined end to end with at least a dozen porcelain dolls just sitting there, staring. Some people who've seen this footage think the doorknob moment is consistent with what's sometimes called a residual haunting, the idea that a location can essentially record repeated actions, like opening a door, and replay them without any conscious intent behind them. Others think something at the Green Manor is far more aware than that, pointing to the way the latch fully releases, a deliberate mechanical sequence, not just a rattle. Whether it's residual energy or something with intention, you be the judge. In this next clip, a family arrives at what looks like a spacious hotel suite. A large, well-lit room with high vaulted ceilings, a stone fireplace, a loft area, and a balcony with plenty of natural light coming through. Nothing about the space looks threatening, but the moment they reach the doorway of room 24, something happens that none of them were prepared for. Watch.
Come on, Mama!
Oh, she don't like this one. Wasn't expecting that. Dang, Big Mama. Is there something in here? We rebuke it, Kai Kai. We rebuke it. She said, Yeah. Yeah. There's shit on the toilet.
That's where you and Dad sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
There's nothing.
What?
Close it. I'll pull out bed. This is so nice.
You welcome. I hope y'all like it. I hope y'all got some energy because we're finna be up all night.
She immediately starts screaming, no, crying loudly, and pulling away from the room, and she doesn't stop for the entire clip. What makes this so hard to dismiss is that the girl didn't calm down. There's a belief, fairly common in paranormal communities, that young children, especially toddlers, are far more sensitive to presence than adults, because they haven't yet learned to rationalize away what they're feeling. You decide what that little girl was sensing at that doorway. Now in this next clip, a man is out in his shed during the day working on tools when he notices something that stops him cold. A sound coming from a dark attic space above a storage closet he says he's never once been up into. He grabs his phone and starts filming himself, panning the camera around the cluttered shed before pulling open a narrow closet door to show what's inside. Listen closely.
Me or not, I don't care, but listen to this. I'm out in the shed working on tools. Listen. Dude, I swear to God, there's something up in this attic, man. I'm not getting up in here and shit. Do you hear that? Dude, oh my God, bro. Oh my God, man. There's something in this neighborhood, dude. Oh my God. Dude, I don't know what to do in a situation like this. Do you hear this shit, man? This thing was built before I bought this house, man. I've never gone up here one time. What the fuck was that, man? There's stuff left from the previous owner. Oh. Oh my god, dude. Oh.
If you listen closely, you'll hear a baby crying, and it happens not once but multiple times, getting clearer and closer each time. The man's reactions are hard to fake. He slams the door, shouts, opens it again, keeps asking if you can hear it too. Then, when he finally works up the nerve to climb the ladder and hold the camera up into that dark space, the last sound he catches, right before the camera drops, is a clean, unmistakable cry of a baby coming from somewhere deep in that darkness. Some viewers think he has squatters in there, which, honestly, isn't impossible. Whatever was up there, he didn't stick around long enough to find out. So what do you think was making that sound? Now in this next clip, a paranormal investigator from Lakeshore Paranormal is in the basement of an old property at night, standing beneath a single bare bulb that cuts harsh shadows across the cinder block walls and exposed ceiling joists. He's got a spirit box scanning in one hand and what appears to be a detection device in the other, the constant static of the scanner cycling through frequencies filling the silence around him. He glances around the space, listening, waiting. Watch.
Not gonna leave until you give me a sign.
Movement back there. Shadow. Shadow like came out from the where the heater is and went back the other way. I got it on video. You can see it. It was short. It was just like a shadow that came out from there.
Are you down here?
A shadow moved from right to left. What immediately sparked debate online was the way the figure seemed to move with shape and direction, not like a flicker of light or camera distortion, but like something physically crossing. Some viewers argued it could simply be a reflection caused by someone walking past a nearby window, but according to the investigators, they were completely alone on the property that night, with no one else inside or outside the building during the investigation. So if no one else was on that property that night, then what exactly walked behind him? Now in this next clip, someone is moving through a pitch-black house in the middle of the night, using nothing but a flashlight to cut through the darkness ahead of him. According to him, before he even started recording, he had already been hearing strange noises somewhere deeper inside the house, sounds unusual enough that he decided to grab his camera and trace where they were coming from. At first, he expected to find something simple, maybe a window left open, or an animal moving around inside the walls. But instead, he found this. Watch.
Right. Second date. It's been okay so far, but... What? This is what I mean. Crazy shit. Is it like... Hello? Oh my! Oh shit! Phone's upstairs. Oh my! I'm leaving lights on. Look at this. I swear to right. Oh shit. Right. I need to go.
The lights suddenly begin flickering violently, throwing unstable flashes across the hallway, and just as he turns toward the staircase, something can be seen moving on the stairs, a dark shape shifting in the shadows before disappearing again. Some viewers believe the flickering lights could point toward electrical issues in an older property, but others focused entirely on the figure near the staircase, especially because in many old traditions, spirits or entities were said to linger near staircases because they symbolized movement between worlds, especially in darkened homes where visibility is limited and the human mind struggles to fully process shapes in shadow. So what do you think was waiting at the top of those stairs? The following video was recorded inside a home that's over 100 years old, using an old camera set up by a young man who was home alone and had noticed something he couldn't explain. Every time he left the room to vacuum, he'd come back and find the same bifold closet door standing wide open. No one else in the house, no obvious draft, nothing to account for it. So instead of just closing it again and moving on, he propped the camera on the floor, pointed it at the door, and went back to his vacuuming. The clip is silent, and that silence is part of what makes it so unsettling. Watch. The right panel of that bifold door begins to move, slowly, steadily, swinging open at a pace that feels almost deliberate, folding back until the closet is fully exposed. No one enters the frame, there's no rush of air, no person, no visible string or mechanism. If you watch the door's movement carefully, you'll notice it doesn't jerk or stutter the way a draft might cause. It moves with a kind of even, unhurried intention that's harder to dismiss. Some viewers familiar with residual haunting theory think older homes can develop patterns of repeated activity tied to whatever energy accumulated there over decades. But you be the judge. Now in this next clip, a man had been sitting alone at his kitchen table, reading from the Bible, not casually, but deliberately, the way someone does when they're trying to hold something back. He had a rosary laid out in front of him, a crucifix, and a small bottle of holy water. He says he picks up regularly from his local Catholic church. He mentions to the camera that he isn't feeling well, and before he starts reading, he anoints his forehead with the holy water and makes the sign of the cross. There's a weight to how he's going through these steps. Like a ritual, he's performed enough times that it's become routine rather than ceremonial. He settles in and begins reading aloud from Psalms 37, verses 3 through 11, scripture about trust, about dwelling safely, about what faith is supposed to protect you from. But midway through the reading, something happened. Watch.
Inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked should be no more. Indeed, you will. Gosh! Holy. Bro. That just closed. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Any demon in my office, evacuate now. Look. That's my magic hat. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And my attic is closed. See? Huh. And it literally dropped my hat. That is crazy. You see, guys? This is what I gotta go through daily. Like literally, daily I gotta go through this crap. I'm so fed up with it.
The door in the background slams shut with a sharp, violent bang. What's harder to dismiss is what he finds on the other side. A baseball cap lying face down on the floor just inside the doorway, which he claims was not there before. He picks it up, shows the camera the front, and says the entity dropped it. He calls his attic door out specifically, showing it secured with multiple slide locks, as if that detail is meant to explain something he doesn't want to say out loud. He ends the clip looking straight into the camera, exhausted, and says this is what he goes through daily. For those familiar with spiritual warfare theology, a violent physical reaction during scripture reading is considered significant. It's interpreted not as random haunting activity, but as direct interference, a presence responding to being named. So what was in that room with him? The following video was recorded on a Friday night in February of 2008, when two men set up cameras in the attic of a house in West Allis, Wisconsin, an unfinished space with exposed rafters and a small wooden chair sitting near the window, the kind of room that already feels unsettling before anything actually happens. As they continue investigating, one of them suddenly captures something barely audible above a whisper, a voice that sounds unmistakably like it says, "Wanna go outside? Watch."
Difference in the roof and the floor. So
56? 70?
No.
Between 50... 70? Between 50...
Well, it's like 12:30, and I think that it was about an hour since we heard those footsteps coming through here, but I don't know what that was from. What's our average temperature?
It's about 37, 38.
That's why I'm cold. And I'm getting like a 0.2 all the way through the room.
Wait, it's going to 45. There's 50. Oh, I got a 50.
I got a reading here.
Oh, shit! Okay. I'm out! 45. There's 50. Oh, I got a 50.
I got a reading here.
Oh, shit! Okay. I'm out! There's 50. Oh, I got a 50.
I got a reading here.
Oh, shit! Okay. I'm out! Oh, I got a 50.
I got a reading here.
Oh, shit! Okay. I'm out!
50.
the EMF meter spikes hard, beeping fast and urgent, and before either of them can react, a loud percussive bang tears through the attic with no visible source, and both men are gone from that room in seconds, shouting and scrambling over each other to get out. What makes this one harder to dismiss is the chair. If you slow it down and look at the background footage, the wooden chair near the window violently jolts at the exact moment the bang lands. Not a gradual shift, not a settle, but a sharp, sudden movement, as if something struck it or launched off of it. The chair had nothing sitting on it. The bang itself has no obvious source in any of the angles available. Some investigators who've reviewed similar cases point to the combination of events: EMF spike, temperature drop, unexplained sound, and physical object movement all happening within the same window of time, as consistent with what's sometimes called a poltergeist phenomenon, a category of activity traditionally associated with forceful, attention-seeking presence rather than passive residual energy. Whether something in that attic genuinely wanted them gone or just wanted to remind them it was there, the footage doesn't answer. What would you have done if you were still in that room? This next clip comes from a 2007 stage production of Beauty and the Beast, recorded inside a theater, and for years, the people who worked there had a name for whatever seemed to linger on that stage. They called her Shannon. The footage itself isn't great quality. It's an old recording being played back on a screen, but what happens when the stage lights go down and the fog rolls in is what's kept this clip circulating for years. Watch.
Try and pause it.
At around the 27-second mark, a faint, whitish-green shape appears floating roughly 8 to 10 feet above the stage floor, vaguely humanoid, semi-transparent, with what looks like a head and torso suspended in the darkness. And if you needed any confirmation that what appeared on screen was genuinely unsettling, the reactions say everything. The group watching erupts, screams, gasps, someone yelling, "Oh my God," another voice just saying, "terrifying." That kind of collective reaction is hard to manufacture. Some think it's a trick of the stage fog, catching a stray light source, while others believe Shannon has been a fixture of that theater long before anyone thought to film her. Whether it's a ghost, a reflection, or something in between, she's been showing up on that stage for a long time now. The following clips all come from the same account, a man who's been documenting what he describes as an ongoing haunting inside his home, and the activity, according to him, has been building steadily. In the first clip, it's late at night when his small dog suddenly jumps onto the back of the couch and starts barking, not playfully, but with the kind of locked, alert attention animals get when something isn't right. He grabs his camera and follows the dog's line of sight toward the front of the house. Watch.
What the hell just happened?
My dog just started fucking barking. Let's see. Holy shit, there's somebody out there. What the fuck?
Through the slats of the window, a tall, dark, humanoid silhouette is standing completely still just outside, and the moment he reacts and pulls the door open, it's gone. The yard is empty, 3 pink flamingo ornaments in the grass, distant city lights, nothing else. No footsteps, no movement, no sign of where it went. For a lot of viewers, the dog's reaction is the detail that's hardest to dismiss. Animals don't perform on cue, and whatever that silhouette was, it was there long enough to be seen and gone fast enough to leave no trace. In the second clip, he sits down to address his audience directly, and what starts as a clarification about his appearance turns into something much heavier. He's a cancer survivor. The disease was in his arm, and between the surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy, he came close to not making it at all. It was during that period, while on a tour of the Queen Mary, that he had his first unexplained experience.
Hey everyone, things have been pretty quiet for a few days now, so I wanted to address some of the comments that I've seen and people wondering about me having one arm. Yeah, I have one arm. It's actually because I'm a cancer survivor, and it was in my arm, so they had to amputate it. And between the radiation and chemo and surgeries, they kind of bring you to the brink of death without actually killing you. I feel like that's where I had my first paranormal experience. During my chemo, I went on a tour of the Queen Mary, and I was in a big group, and we went past this long vacant hallway that was like completely gutted in the interior of the ship, and suddenly I hear boom, 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 and then I turned to the people that were with me, and I was like, did you hear that? And they're like, no, nobody else in the group heard it, just me. And I'm wondering how much that has to do with what's going on now. I'm not sure.
The Queen Mary, docked in Long Beach, California, has one of the most documented paranormal reputations in the country. Decades of reported encounters, multiple full investigations, and a history that includes deaths aboard the ship during its years of service. Some researchers believe the vessel holds residual energy from that history, and others think certain people, particularly those who've been close to death themselves, may be more open to perceiving it. Whether that brush with mortality during his treatment left him more sensitive to whatever this is, he can't say for certain. It's unclear whether he's been followed or whether something was already in the house waiting. Then there's the door cam footage. It's nighttime again, the hallway quiet, and the camera catches a closed wooden door from a low angle when the latch audibly clicks, and the door swings open inward on its own. Watch.
Did somebody open the door?
What makes this particular piece harder to explain is the audio. The latch disengages before the door moves, which rules out a simple draft pushing it. Skeptics will point to pressure differentials or a faulty strike plate, and those aren't unreasonable arguments. But taken alongside the figure in the yard, the dog's alarm, and the history he's now carrying, it starts to feel less like a series of coincidences and more like a pattern building towards something. Whatever is happening in that house seems to know when he's watching and when he's not. The following video was recorded inside what appears to be a basement room, late at night, where a woman, off camera, is filming her young daughter, Cheyenne. The little girl, dressed in pink pajamas, is sitting in her walker near the center of the room. She isn't playing. She isn't looking around. She's completely fixated on the dark doorway in front of her, crying and whimpering in a way that sounds less like a tired baby, and more like a baby that sees something. The woman calls out to her softly, "Shy, Shy," then Cheyenne, trying to pull her attention away. It doesn't work. Watch.
Shy, Shy. Cheyenne. Cheyenne.
What makes this unsettling is how completely focused she remains on that doorway. She doesn't glance toward the camera or respond normally to her mother's voice. Her eyes stay fixed in the same direction while her crying continues as though she's watching something approaching from the darkness. Paranormal believers often point to reactions like this as possible evidence that young children can perceive things adults cannot. The belief is that babies and very young children may be more sensitive to unusual sounds, movements, or even supposed spiritual activity because they haven't yet learned to filter out things that adults automatically ignore. Of course, there are ordinary explanations too. A baby can become intensely focused on a dark doorway because of a sound, shadow, reflection, movement, or something else outside the camera's view. Her reaction alone can't tell us what she was actually seeing, but whatever caught her attention, she never seems to look away from it. This next video follows the same man across two separate moments inside what appears to be his home, and together they paint a picture of a situation that seems to be getting harder to ignore. In the first clip, he's filming his fish tank late at night, a casual moment, completely ordinary, narrating his new additions and asking his viewers for name suggestions. Watch. If you look closely, a hand appears to be resting against the side of the fish tank. He notices it and immediately goes around to check. There's nobody there. The second clip appears to be from a separate night. He mentions it's around 1 a.m., that he's been hearing banging and footsteps on and off for the past several days, and that tonight it started again. He's filming the dark staircase, the kitchen lit behind him, trying to catch whatever keeps waking him up. Listen closely.
Alright guys, so I just thought I'd record a video. I'm home alone. I've been hearing like occasional like banging noises every few days. It's quite late at night, it's like about 1 a.m. now. I heard a couple of sort of banging. Sometimes it sounds like footsteps like in the last 10 minutes. Sorry my camera by the way keeps defocusing, I'm not sure why. But yeah, I just thought I'd record to just try and like catch any... Fucking hell, man.
Heavy stomps erupt from somewhere just out of frame, forceful enough that they don't sound like a settling house or a pipe shifting. They sound like weight, like something upstairs with size to it. His reaction, an immediate, involuntary shout, is the kind that doesn't come from someone who staged a sound. Skeptics would point to old construction, plumbing, or a neighbor in a shared wall, but he describes this as something that's been building for days, which rules out a one-off noise. For viewers who followed similar cases, a pattern like this, unexplained sounds escalating over time, concentrated near staircases and upper floors, often gets compared to what some call a territorial presence, something that he still hasn't explained what's at the top of those stairs. And honestly, I'm not sure he knows either. The following video was recorded at around 11 p.m. when a young man is alone inside a building and begins hearing something he can't explain. Loud, violent banging echoing from somewhere in the basement below him. According to him, this isn't the first time. It's already happened 3 times that night, and by now, whatever is making the noise has clearly gotten under his skin. Watch.
Bueno, ya son como las 11 de la noche y la tercera vez que estoy escuchando este ruido de mierda. No sé qué está pasando, pero lo quiero grabar ahora para que después me crea la gente, porque esto nunca me pasó y nada, lo quería grabar, qué sé yo, estoy podrido, la concha de la lora. Tengo mi linterna, no sé para qué mierda traje. Dios, puta que te parió. Puta que te parió. Concha de la lora. La concha de la lora. Pero como mierda puede ser que no haya nada. Ay. Ya es la tercera vez. tercera vez que entro y no hay nada. Dios, me quiero ir. Me quiero ir.
What you're hearing isn't subtle. Those are powerful metallic slams reverberating through a large, empty concrete space, the kind of sound that doesn't come from a building settling or pipes expanding. He moves through the basement with support pillars and wooden furniture, pushes into a narrow locker room area with benches and jackets on hooks, and finds absolutely nothing. No one, no movement. The banging had been relentless on his way down, growing louder and more rhythmic the closer he got. And then, the moment he's inside the room where it seemed to be coming from, it stops. He checks under the benches, pans the camera across every corner, and keeps repeating the same thing. This is the third time he's come down here and found nothing. He says he wants to leave. Some viewers think the sounds point towards something intelligent, something reacting to his presence. The way the banging intensifies as he descends and cuts out the second he arrives suggests awareness, not random noise. Skeptics argue an accomplice somewhere in the building could account for it, though no one else is ever seen or heard. But if you listen to how that sound carries through the space, it's hard to picture where exactly someone would be hiding. So where did it come from? In this next clip, Nicole is a teenage vlogger who's been documenting something she once thought was a gift, her ability to communicate with spirits, until that ability put her directly in the path of something far more dangerous. She'd been uploading footage of her paranormal experiences under the online alias Banshee 0094, barely anyone in her town even knowing she was still alive, when a cult found her through those videos, took her, and left her on the side of the road to die. Now she's back, trying to move on, when the activity starts again, this time inside her own bedroom. Watch.
Did you guys hear that? Is he anything? Shit! Right, no. I'm not doing this shit. Go back to bed. Go back to bed. Back to bed. Back to bed. Back to bed. You hear me? I'm not going outside. I am not going outside. I do not need this shit. Okay. I know. I am outside. I'm trying to be extra quiet. He's all shh. Okay. Shh. I'll be quiet because I know I shouldn't go inside. I said I was going inside, but I have to go inside because what the fuck was I saying?
If you look closely, something appears to pass directly across the window outside her room. At first, it could easily be mistaken for a person walking past the house, a shadow, or even something created by the movement of the camera and the darkness outside. Then comes the scream. It's high-pitched, prolonged, and disturbingly human-sounding, which is exactly why viewers immediately began comparing it to a banshee. In Irish and Scottish folklore, a banshee is traditionally described as a supernatural female spirit whose terrifying cry is believed to warn that someone is about to die. The frightening part of the legend isn't necessarily that the banshee attacks anyone. It's the idea that hearing it scream is itself a warning, a sound that supposedly arrives before tragedy. And that's what makes this clip particularly unsettling. But the footage becomes even more disturbing. Watch.
What is that? What is that?
If it really is the same person or figure, there's an obvious explanation. Someone could simply have been outside the house. But if Nicole's account is accurate, and she genuinely believed she was alone, the sequence becomes much harder to shake. So the most frightening question isn't what was that scream. It's who or what was waiting outside her window. Now in this next clip, a man is sitting in front of his computer late at night, replaying security footage from his own driveway. And what he's trying to wrap his head around isn't a shadow or a figure in the dark, but something arguably stranger. The timestamp on the footage reads 10:09 p.m. on the 28th of April of 2024, and it shows an ordinary-looking man in a dark jacket walking down the driveway near a vintage black Volkswagen Beetle, stopping, gesturing, and appearing to give directions to someone just off camera, completely unremarkable on its own. Watch.
Güey, te juro por Dios, güey. Te lo juro por Dios que un señor me preguntó qué onda era la pinera.
No digas mamadas.
Te lo juro por Dios, güey. Un señor se me acercó y me preguntó, oiga, disculpe, ¿dónde es la pinera? Y por eso le explico, le digo que tenía que cruzar y darle más para abajo, güey, te lo juro. Te lo juro, güey, no mames.
Here's where it gets hard to explain. The man reviewing this footage insists, swearing on it repeatedly, visibly shaken, that man had approached him and asked him for directions to La Pinera. He gave him directions, that's it. Except the encounter was already on his security camera, and we can't see him talking to anyone. Some viewers immediately called it a glitch in the Matrix, that unsettling feeling that reality briefly repeated itself or crossed its own timeline. What do you think? Now in this next clip, someone is alone at night, filming inside what looks like an old cabin or shed, the kind of place that already feels wrong before the camera even settles on anything. The walls are dark, weathered logs, the paint on the door is peeling and stained, and the only light comes from the phone in their hand. The room is completely still, with nothing but darkness beyond the narrow beam of light, and then the camera catches something above the doorframe. Watch.
Bro, I just missed it moving again, bro. Literally. I'm not stopping recording until I get it moving on camera, bro. Look at that, bro. You see it? You see it? That bitch is moving, gang, by itself. I'm gonna try and get it one more time, yo. Bro, look at that shit, gang. Yeah, I probably gotta get rid of this little nigga for real. I got that shit on camera though, gang. I'm not tripping.
For nearly 3 minutes, the strange creature keeps hitting the door. Paranormal viewers would likely interpret the scene very differently, especially because the activity appears to be concentrated around a doorway. In paranormal folklore, doorways are often treated as symbolic thresholds between spaces, and unexplained activity around them is sometimes interpreted as something attempting to enter or make its presence known. Whether that's what is happening here is impossible to establish from the footage alone. But watching that door repeatedly take hits while the person filming stands there, unable to see what's on the other side, creates one terrifying thought. This next clip was recorded inside a man's living room in the middle of the day. Natural light coming through the window, blue sofa in the background, everything ordinary about the setting, except for one small black object sitting on the wood floor near his coffee table. He'd apparently missed it moving before the recording started, and he was determined not to miss it again. So he held the shot. Watch.
The fuck? Dude, just heard this huge fucking crash.
Is anyone down there? Hello? Hey, who's fucking down there? Seriously, if you throw anything at me this time, I'm gonna f you up. Man? You're a fucking coward! What do you fucking want? Just fuck! Shit! Fuck! Hey, let me out! Let me out! Fuck! Let me out of here!
No foot, no string, no air vent, blowing directly underneath it. Skeptics think that's the most obvious explanation. Either the device's battery is still partially charged and activating on a timer, or someone off camera has a remote. But he insists there's no pet, no remote, nothing driving it. So what do you think it is? This next clip was recorded by a man investigating strange sounds inside what appears to be a multi-level home, alone, at night, with nothing but his phone's camera light cutting through the dark. Something had already spooked him badly enough that he was out of breath before he even opened the first door. He makes his way down a carpeted staircase, calls out into the basement below, gets no answer, and pushes deeper into the space anyway, into a furnished lower level, bare white walls, couch, armchair, the kind of quiet that makes every small sound feel wrong. And then something happens that stops him cold. Watch. The creaking of the old wooden steps, his labored breathing, the rough stone walls closing in around him, and then, at the worst possible moment, the trapdoor above him slams shut, hard. He panics immediately, yelling and hammering on the underside of the door, the camera lurching wildly in the dark. If you listen to the slam itself, there's no creak, no slow movement. It falls in one sudden, definitive thud, the way a door moves when something forces it rather than lets it drift. Some viewers believe this was never about a haunting at all, but a physical intruder using the space, which, honestly, makes it even more disturbing. Others think whatever is in that house wanted him down there, because whatever was in that cellar with him, it knew exactly when to close the door. In the following clip, a woman was sharing a terrifying experience of how she once heard something growl close to her ear. But what was supposed to be a simple story time recording quickly turned into something much worse. Thankfully, she was still recording when it happened. Have a look.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. I just came down from getting a shower and I'm cleaning my kitchen. I'm getting ready to go to bed. And I swear it sounded like something growled in my ear. I know that sounds insane, and it's not like normal, but I've never experienced that before. It was insane. My basement door's open. This was not opened when I came down. Oh, crap. Hello?
Now, a growling noise isn't taken lightly. Many believe it's a sign of a hostile spirit, or even a demonic presence marking its territory, warning the living to stay away. Others speculate it could mean a spirit is trying to build fear before making its presence stronger. But whatever it was, it seemed to be waiting for the right moment to make itself known, so when she was most vulnerable, it struck again. A few days later, while she was home alone, she caught this on camera.
So I was upstairs and I heard this loud screeching noise and a loud noise. What the? I heard a loud screeching noise and a loud bang.
This time, it wasn't just the chair that moved. There were also distinct knocking sounds at the end. Now here's where the story takes a terrifying turn. After this recording, she began waking up at exactly 3:15 a.m. every night, the so-called witching hour, with the same sensation that someone was standing at the edge of her bed, watching her. And other times, she claimed to hear the growl again, but this time, it was right outside her bedroom door. Whatever is in her house seems to be growing stronger, bolder, and more dangerous. For more hunting videos, subscribe to the channel now. The following video was captured by a home security camera mounted in the corner of a living room, where everything initially looks completely ordinary. The TV is on, casting that familiar blue glow across the room, and a small black dog is near the sofa, when without any obvious trigger, it suddenly starts barking. Not playful barking, not the kind of reaction you'd expect from someone approaching the house. It's aggressive, frantic, and the dog appears completely focused on something just outside the camera's view. It moves nervously between the sofa and coffee table before suddenly bolting toward the other side of the room. Watch. The strange part isn't simply that the dog starts barking, it's where it's looking. Its head and body seem to track something that isn't visible on the recording, almost as though it's following something moving through the room. There are obviously normal explanations. Dogs can hear sounds far beyond our hearing range, detect smells we can't, or react to tiny movements and reflections that a security camera completely misses. But paranormal believers would tell you to watch the dog itself. Animals have long been associated with the ability to sense spirits, and dogs in particular are often said to react to unseen presences before humans notice anything. If that's what we're seeing here, then the frantic barking may not have been random at all. It may have been reacting to something standing right there in the room with it. And whatever it was, the dog seemed scared enough to run from it. In this next clip, a man explores what looks like a completely abandoned building, dark hallways, graffiti-covered walls, and the kind of suffocating silence that makes every small sound feel enormous. He's already uneasy before anything happens, mentioning out loud that he feels itchy and uncomfortable, like something in the environment itself is pushing back against his being there. Daylight filters in through distant windows, but the interior stays dark enough that his flashlight barely cuts through it. Then things start happening fast. Watch.
I'm feeling so itchy. I'm not liking it. I'm getting very uncomfortable right now. This is crazy.
Almost immediately, a door at the far end of the hallway creaks open on its own. Nobody near it, nothing to explain it. He bolts. Then, while navigating a lower level, he shines his flashlight down a long corridor, and you can see it. A dark, humanoid figure, standing motionless at the far end before he panics and runs again. A door slams from somewhere unseen while he's trying to force another one open. And then comes the scream, high-pitched, distorted, not quite right in the way human screams are. The figure in the hallway is what most viewers keep returning to. Some believe it's residual energy attached to the building, a presence that doesn't know it's being observed. Skeptics argue the darkness and the shaky camera make it easy to see shapes that aren't there. But that scream is harder to dismiss. Whatever produced it, it didn't sound like anything that belongs in an empty building. In this next clip, a group of friends decided to go exploring underneath what locals call the Suicide Bridge at 3 a.m., walking the concrete path beneath the arches, phone in hand, the street lamps casting just enough light to make the shadows feel deeper. It's the kind of place most people avoid after dark. Listen closely. Somewhere around the 3-second mark, underneath the sound of footsteps on gravel, a faint, breathy whisper surfaces, high-pitched and pleading, what sounds unmistakably like, "Please come back." Many believe certain locations carry residual energy tied to tragedy, and that the voices of those who died there can sometimes still be heard. You decide whether what's on this footage is the wind, or something that hasn't left yet. In this next clip, two men named Mike and Sam, members of a paranormal group called Viper Paranormal, are out on the Cruzy property in Lynchburg, Virginia, on the night of January 29th at around 10:45 p.m., attempting to make contact with whatever they believe is out there. The footage is captured on a stationary night vision camera, giving everything that distinctive green tint, and from the start, Mike is already shaken. breathing heavy, telling the camera he's never seen anything like what just happened. Sam's camera dies unexpectedly, right in the middle of their investigation, which Mike responds to by telling him to check the K2 meter. Then Sam catches movement near the tree line to the right. Watch.
This is Sam and Mike with Viper Paranormal. We're here on the Cruci property. It's January 29th, about 10:45 p.m. My name is Mike. This is my friend Sam. Hello. We don't mean any disrespect. We're only here to learn and communicate. This may be your last opportunity to communicate with anyone.
Whenever you asked that last question, the camera just died.
Really? Was it charged?
Yeah, it was fully charged. I mean, I K2, check the K2.
I haven't seen anything, bro.
Dude, something moved over there, I swear. Wait, it's moving.
Whoa! What's that?
A pale, semi-transparent humanoid figure lunges from behind a tree on the right and tears across the frame from right to left, passing directly behind Mike, fast enough that you almost miss it. Both men scatter immediately. Some viewers think the figure is genuine residual energy captured on film. Skeptics, though, point to something unusual at the end of this clip. The footage cuts directly to an advertisement for a paranormal conference where Viper Paranormal were scheduled to present a talk specifically about hoaxes and frauds. So what exactly were Mike and Sam promoting that night? The following video was shared by a mother who in 2017 lost her 3-year-old daughter, Jada, and what makes this footage so difficult to set aside isn't a shadow, a figure, or a door swinging on its own. It's something far quieter than that. Her 15-month-old daughter was lying in her crib early one morning, captured on a night vision baby monitor from above, just playing on her own the way toddlers do, rolling around, giggling, completely in her own little world. According to the mother, she had never once spoken to this baby about her older sister. At 15 months old, there was simply no reason to yet. The family mentioned Jada's name around the house, yes, but never directly to her, never in any way that would suggest this infant understood who they were talking about. Listen closely. At around the 50-second mark, the baby lets out a soft giggle and then makes a vocalization that sounds like a 2-syllable name. It's easy to brush that one off. Toddlers babble constantly, and the sound is close enough to dada that doubt creeps in. But then at almost exactly the 2-minute mark, she does it again, and this time it's considerably clearer, a sound that many who've heard it describe as unmistakably Jida, spoken in a small, conversational tone, as if she's simply greeting someone in the room with her. Some believe young children, especially infants and toddlers, exist closer to what some traditions describe as the threshold between the living and the spirit world, that they haven't yet learned to filter out presences that older people can no longer perceive. Others think the mind naturally finds familiar patterns in ambiguous sound, and that grief can sharpen that tendency. Both explanations are real, and neither one is easy to dismiss. What makes the second clip even harder to set aside is the mother's follow-up. Watch.
Hello. Okay, so this is a question that I have gotten several times. So obviously we talk about her often, just like my family, my son. So he was 5. He was 5 whenever she passed away. So he remembers her, he knows about her, we talk about her a lot. And so does my family, but I've never talked to her directly about her. She's only 15 months, so obviously I do plan to tell her about her, eventually show her pictures, videos, and all that. With her being only 15 months old, it's not something that I've even thought about doing it. So she's probably heard us mention her name, but I don't even know that she would know what we were talking about or who she is or anything like that. So that is what makes it kind of even crazier is no, I've never talked to her about her or anything like that. And actually, after I posted this, the next day, I did show her a picture of Jada, and she smiled so big. I was like, Jada! So it's just so crazy. I honestly think I'm still just in shock. It obviously makes me very emotional, but yeah, it's just crazy, and I just have to believe that is what it is.
After posting the video, she showed her 15-month-old a photograph of Jada the next day, a sister this baby had never been introduced to, never shown a picture of, and according to the mother, the baby smiled wide and said her name clearly. She describes still being in shock, and you can hear it in her voice. Whether this is a coincidence, a child's developing speech landing on a familiar syllable, or something that can't be explained by either of those things, that's a question this mother says she's already made peace with answering for herself. This next clip comes from a baby monitor recording in a child's bedroom, captured just after midnight on May 20th of 2026. The kind of footage parents check in the morning expecting to find nothing unusual. The room is still, the girl is settled in bed near the headboard, and everything looks exactly the way it should at that hour. Then she makes a sound. Watch. That low, guttural moan doesn't sound like a child half asleep. It sounds like something else entirely, something that doesn't fit the small body it's coming from. She pops her head up from behind the nursing pillow and stares directly into the camera with those wide, glowing eyes. then vanishes back under the covers, then surfaces again. Some parents who've seen footage like this believe children are simply more sensitive to whatever shares a space with them at night, that they're responding to something the camera can't quite capture. Others think the vocalization alone is worth paying attention to, the kind of sound that gets harder to explain the more times you replay it. What would you do if this was on your baby monitor?